Hello, welcome back, long time no see. Welcome back to the No Excuses podcast. I'm sorry I've not been around for, I think it's nearly 3 weeks. But if you saw my Instagram post last week, you'll know that we lost my dad very suddenly just over a week ago. So obviously that's been a shock. And I'll talk a bit more about that at the end of the programme. So if there's anybody who is only interested in the crafting, or for whatever reason they find it a trigger, they don't want to listen to that part of the podcast, then they can leave at that point. So I wanted to come and talk to you because I want to do something that's normal, that I enjoy. And I love talking to you lot because you're great, basically. You've welcomed me onto the YouTube stage with open arms, and I'm really enjoying it. So, what they say about letting your audience down, I'm back, and I'm hoping now, to get back into the routine of podcasting every 10 days to 2 weeks. Because of where I'm sat, which is towards the back of the room again, because although it's a very dull day, it's too bright near the window. I am sort of half in the dark, and I'll have to stop a couple of times to reorganise the stuff I can reach. But you're used to me, aren't you? Okay, you're back, you're watching me, so I must be doing something right. Anyway, this is not going to be a sad podcast. My dad was not a sad person, and it is not all about him either. I want to talk about what I've been doing and what's been giving me joy and pleasure, and that obviously includes yarn. So let's get on with it. Hello and welcome. So this is a No Excuses podcast, and today I want to talk about the mouths. I've got a finished object. I've got two, but one of them's in the wash, so I'm not going to show you that one. I've got two new cast-ons, and I'm nearly finished, sort of, So, and then acquisitions, and then a little bit of chat at the end. So it might be a bit longer than usual, although I said that last time, and it ended up being quite short, didn't it? I have to say these raglan sleeves make me look like I've got no shoulders, don't they? And I'm wearing the same T-shirt I think I had on last time, because these big cotton trader ones, the ones I wear at home, and they just go in and out the wash all the time. So I have worn lots of different clothes in the last 3 weeks. You think I've got one set of clothing at this rate. Let's get cracking. The mouths. Well, we have, since I last spoke to you, we've got one mail that's ended, a mail that's still running, and I'm about to announce a new make along. So let's deal first of all with the mail that ended at the end of August, and that was the stash. See, I can't even say it now. The stash or shelf mail. I did have what's it called? Speech therapy when I was little. But that's another story. So that ended at the 31st of August, and what I did, I keep a spreadsheet of all the entries. I asked Google to do a random number picker, and the winner was Emma of Em's Little Nest, and she's based in New Zealand. So hello, Emma. Her prize has already gone off to her, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a video in a minute showing you some of what I sent her. But I did it because I wanted to find out of Emma, because of the postage costs, whether she was happy to wait if I sent it economy, or whether she'd like an alternative price, such as a couple of Patons. And Emma kindly said, I did say to her, I want you to have the prize, I'd slaved over it for all these hours. I was hoping she'd take it. Anyway, she did say, no, that's fine. Emma was happy to have the package post economy, that she's had stuff from Wool Warehouse over in Britain, and it's got to her in 2 to 3 weeks, so that's not bad. So that's why I wanted to contact her before coming on talking to you, because if Emma had said that she wanted patterns instead, then I might have had to rethink the price, etc. So I'm going to put a little video in here now of me just showing you part of what I said. Okay, hello. This is me from the past. This is Monday evening, and I'm just come on to do a quick video to show you the prize that I'm hopefully going to get in the post tomorrow to Emma in New Zealand. This is the bag that I've made, and I think it will comfortably fit 3, possibly 4 skeins of yarn in there. I've got my little, I'm hoping that's going to read the right way around, my little label. I haven't put the drawstring in yet, but that's just some cream coloured rope that I've got. It's lined in a coordinating fabric. It's got no pockets in it, but for the first time ever, I have been reasonably successful in doing a box bottom. Who knew? These bags are getting less wonky. So it will sort of, it's got a bit of depth to it, not a lot, but it might stand up if you fold it down on the top. So that is the bag that's going to go. And also, I won't show you everything, so some of it is a surprise for Emma. But I'm including a stitch marker by Pip of Woolly Coochies. And the yarn is Malabrigo Rios, which I think is a worsted. Now look at the colours, that's coming out quite accurate on my phone. And the colour is Archangel. Isn't that gorgeous? And I'll put a couple of other things in there for Emma, and hopefully she will receive it within about 2 to 3 weeks. I'm just looking to say what this is. It's pure superwash merino. Beautiful. Okay. Sorry I haven't pushed my hair, got no makeup on, but I want to get this in the post. I'll see you in a minute. Bye-bye. Right, back again. What am I, right, no, not what am I wearing yet. Well, I'll talk about that in a sec. The second melt, I haven't written any notes today. Right, so I'm winging it. I always think I do better when I wing it, but I tend to forget stuff as well. The melt that's still running is the summer portion of the seasonal melt, or if you're in the southern hemisphere, the winter portion. That ends at the end of this month, and if you can convince me that what you're entering is anything to do with summer/winter, then that's fine with me. Okay, and I've got a few entries, and that's great. And again, there is an Instagram hashtag down below, and you can email me your entry if you don't use Ravelry and you don't use Instagram. So the more the merrier, as they say. Get your entry in. For every seasonal mail that you enter, you will get an entry into the end of year draw, which I will do in the new year, 2022. We're getting there already, aren't we? But we have a new mail, and I have been sort of alluding to it. I thought we'd do a jumper mail, and it's going to be called, very originally, a jump along. So it'll be a JAL. So it can be knitting or crochet. And excuse me, I didn't mean to shout then. My voice came out wrong. It could also be, if you sew, something like one of those chunky cable knit sweatshirting jersey type materials. I'll leave that to you. But it's a jumper along. And my definition for the purposes of this mail, because my rules are that it needs to have sleeves. And it needs to be an adult size. And that's the only thing I'm stipulating. So if you are in the southern hemisphere and you are knitting for your upcoming season of summer, then if it's got sleeves, you know, and it's for an adult, then you can enter as well. What I fancy seeing is a load of nice woolly knits, because that's what I've got in mind for me. And I can't wait to cast on the orchid jumper. And it's the thing that's keeping me going in terms of getting other things finished at the moment. But, again, that's for another day. The jump along, well, you see, I thought about the name. And I know that what we tend to call jumpers in Britain get called sweaters in other countries. And I didn't think a sweater long sounded very good. Now, some of you out there listening to me, watching me, might be women of a certain age, and you may feel that a sweater long could be very appropriate to you. But me, I'm on the other side of that, and I didn't have any of that, so I just can't relate. But some of my friends are still suffering. So jump along it is, and it's not a sweater long. You'll be pleased to hear. So yeah, that will run until Valentine's Day. It will run until, because it's a nice easy date that most of us know of, even if we don't bother celebrating it. So it'll run to the middle of February. And the reason I'm doing that is because I might do something a bit different over Christmas if I can get my bottom into gear. I love doing these things, but also if we've got the end of the seasonal melt as well, I think it's nice to have a bit of a space in between them. So yes, and yeah, please dive in. I know some of you have said you're waiting to cast on. Anita's one of those. So jump into the jump along. I will put a thread on Ravelry. I won't keep it. It'll be a chatter thread because, you know, unless I get hundreds and hundreds of people entering, then it's quite easy for me to keep track of. So that's the jump along. Join in, and don't forget the summer portion of the seasonal mail will end at the end of this month, and then so at the beginning of October we'll be having another chat. Okay, so there we go. I will think up. I think yeah, I'll put a hashtag for the jump along down below, and it can start from now. Or if you've literally just cast on, let's just assume that you've literally just cast on a jumper, you can enter that in as well, you know. I mean, a sensible thing to do would be to knit winter jumpers in the summer, ready for the winter. But of course, we never get around to doing that. And who wants a big, thick jumper on your lap? Especially if you're doing it top down, you've got the whole thing on your lap. You know, if you're doing it seamlessly. So, yeah, most of us probably end up knitting woolies in the winter, or the equivalent. Joining it. Right, so I think that's the admin out of the way. If I've forgotten anything, give me a shove. What am I wearing? I don't think you've seen this. This is my cardigan, and it has got a little pattern down the front, and it has got different colours in it. Now, you know my everyday cardigan that's yellow and bright, the one I wore last time? That was Sirdar Summer Stripes, and this is as well. And the dark stripe that you can see on the arm, it's a predominant colour, a bit like the dark stripe was, the dark colour was the predominant one on the other one. And big blocks of one colour, and then a bit like having one of the indie dyed things where you've got long stretches of, say, grey, and then you've got a rainbow at the end. A bit like that. So what I did, I took a lot of the dark stuff out, and this is a Patons pattern, which I haven't looked up, but I will put in the information bar down below. And it is basically, it's a notch neck. Oh, it doesn't look well on me at all. Look, I need some shoulder pads. It's got a pretty raglan, an eyelet raglan. It's got a notch neck, this one has, and it's they give you different panel stitch. They give you different stitch patterns, 4 different stitch patterns, so you can put it into the cardigan. And the cardigans are, you know, they crop them. Well, we can all crop our own cardigans. different length sleeves and things. So you get one pattern, one leaflet, and it's got 4 variations on it. I quite like this because it's light. It's got pale green, blue, grey colour in, and it's very summery, and it is a cotton and acrylic mix, 50-50, and it washes and wears. And I put mismatched buttons on, I think. Yeah, because that one's blue. Like you can see, that one's green. You can just about see that. So I think I got 2 lots of buttons out. That one's got 4 holes. That's got 2 holes. Yeah, so I mismatched my buttons. Quite like doing that. And yeah, I wear this often in the summer. It's a bit baggy, to be honest. Look at the sleeves are a bit baggy. And that's because cotton doesn't spring back, even with the acrylic in it. But I like it. It's easy to wear, and I thought I'd show you. Yet another of my makes. Because I haven't really shown you many of my summer makes, have I? We didn't have much of a summer, to be fair. I don't think so. Okay, so what am I wearing? Let's get into the crafting. I've only been talking for 14 minutes and 21 seconds. So let's go. Let's talk about finished items first. And my first finished item is my Thundercloud Kisses shawl from Libby at Truly Myrtle. And I will put the yarn details down below. But you can see it's gorgeous, isn't it? And then these are merino singles. It's an asymmetric shawl, and it's got this gorgeous shaping, stitch pattern at the end, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to knit it. And it's got bobbles on the end, and I pulled them out a little bit when I was blocking, so it was a bit pointy. I don't know whether it's supposed to be like that. I won't lie to you. Would I lie to you, baby? That made me think of a song then. Yeah. Who sang that? Was that Thinking Eddie? Yeah. Charles and Eddie. Yeah. Show me age. But I like this. I think it feels lovely, and it's not too big. But having said that, it was too big for my table outside. When it was very hot last week, Tom helped me pin it out. But even so, I couldn't quite get it to, there's a bit of a kink in the end where, well, you can't really see it. You lot are a forgiving lot anyway, aren't you? And I needed to get this all, but you can see I've run out of space here, and I haven't been able to stretch these last holes very well because we ran out of room on our garden table. And I don't have anything else I can put it on. That's big enough to do. I mean, the garden table I think is bigger than my craft table, but it's lovely. I'm really pleased. Now I do know that it's a Cosmic Strings and a Biff Sugar Yarns, but I can't remember the colour. I think this is Florence, and I think this is Penny, but I'll put the details down below. Gorgeous, and I'm looking forward to wearing this. But we're going to have a chat soon, honestly, about making shawls, because I love making shawls, but I don't get to wear them, and I want to tell me what to do with them. I don't even have enough people to give them away to, because I think I'm going to have to be more selective about what I knit with shawls, because I just love doing them, but they're not always practical for me. So, yeah, I want to have a chat about that at some point. So, I'm just trying to fold this up while I talk to you. We'll end up rolling it up. Well-written pattern, recommend the pattern. The only thing the negative thing I would say is, well, this is not to do with the pattern, but I prefer my shawls to be a bit more reversible, and this isn't. Not particularly, but then if it's round your neck, does that really matter? I argue with myself like this all the time. But the kisses, these little bubbles, they have a tendency to pop through to the other side. And some of them are right on the edge. And when they're right on the edge, because I cut the yarn each time I did one of these stripes, so I had quite a few to sew in. and it's merino singles, and they're quite slippy, aren't they? Where the bobble was near the edge, I made sure I went into the bottom of it and tried to make sure it was secure, and it would carry on protruding, because that one's a bit flat. Oh, you can't. I'm talking gibberish, aren't I? Anyway, that is the Thundercloud Kitties. Just attached itself to the Velcro on my boots. That's all right, isn't it? I'm going to roll that up nicely and just shove it behind the camera. I'm so professional. That's my one finished item. I have got another finished item, which is the Gelato top that Mum has helped me make, which is a sewing pattern. I put it on yesterday morning to go and visit Mum, and then I took it off again because it's far too big. It's that big that me, with my limited movement, could take it off again because Tom was down the garden doing something. Excuse me. I could take it off without undoing the zip, which means it's huge. And I was saying to Mum, it's also too big on the neck, even with the little bit of lace that I've sewn on. So I will show you that another time. But the reason why we did a twirl is for that very, that's why we do a twirl. It doesn't need to be as big. It needs to be more fitted on the top, and it needs to be less voluminous around, including the sleeves, because we left plenty of room sleeves because of my movement, but they're a bit big. And I'm talking about something I'm not going to bother showing you, so not to say bother, but I've put it in the wash and it's a bit crumpled now because it's quite fine cotton lawn. But we will talk about it at some point. So I'm just seeing whether I've got everything with me. Oh yeah, I have. I may have cast on a couple of things. I have cast on my mother-in-law's cardigan, which I'm not going to show you the actual knitting because all I've done is the rib for the back. And this is Stylecraft Special Chunky in the cloud blue colourway, which is shade 1019. Nice. She wanted light blue, acrylic. She wants something, quote, to do the housework in. Because I normally knit her wool jumpers, cardigans. So this year she wanted something, because they came down to stay, we could have a better chat about it. I'm not sure I've got the sizing right. Then, I may have started a sock. Oh, she started a sock. I ordered some bits and pieces, which I'll show you, but I ordered this from, and I've left the ball band over there, so I'll show you this again in a minute. But this is a yarn, an opal yarn, that Ange at Yarn and Yarns has just had in stock, and I've literally cast on to do, I think they're called the Jack socks pattern, but I've already changed it, and it looked far too small, and I've no idea what I'm doing really. I do, don't I? Because I'm a knitter, but I cast on 64 stitches, and I thought I want to make these for a man because they are, a less girly colour. Some people don't care what colour they wear. And I thought it looked far too small, so I've cast on 72 stitches, and to me it still looks too small. So I shall show Penny when I see her, hopefully soon, and see what she thinks. I might do a little bit on that tonight. So that's my evening knitting at the moment, and I'll show you what yarn, which colourway it is in a moment when I stop and start again. And then my last in progress works is this, which is Mum's cardigan, and we are at the stage where it is sewn up. I've tried to match, I couldn't match the sleeves because they're set-in sleeves, not raglan. I couldn't match the stripes, unfortunately. Once I got past the bottom bit on the armhole, I couldn't match the stripes anymore. So I did the sleeve head twice on, because I tried to set the first sleeve in before I'd finished knitting the second sleeve, and I was having ever such a lot of problem against the front of the cardigan, and there was too much material. So and I realised it was because when I'm carrying the yarn up the side for the stripes, it was inevitably tighter, even though I tried to allow for the stretch. It was nowhere near as stretchy as it needed to be. So I just went back to the start of the armhole shaping on both sleeves, and I did that in about 24 hours, and I started again. So we are now on to the thing I don't like. I think I like the least, shall we say, or the thing I dislike it, because I think, when you knit, I might as well embrace it all, rather than say I don't, when people say, oh, I hate purling, I thought, well, that's such a big part of knitting. It's like, I would, I think that's a strange thing to say, but then it does depend on how you knit as well, doesn't it? So I'm going to start picking up later today for the front band, and I thought I'd just spend a couple of minutes telling you how to do that, but I'm going to stop my video because it's nearly at half an hour. Bear with me a sec. Right, so I'm just going to tell you how I'm going to pick up the stitches for the band, and you'll probably nod and say, yeah, that's how I do it. I don't bother looking at the pattern anymore to see how many stitches they want me to pick up, because I may have, I have done this to a different length to what they've said in the pattern. So because my mum's, she's not very tall, so there's no point me looking at the pattern. And also I've done stripes, and that's going to make a difference, I think, anyway, to what I'm doing. I don't know why, but anyway. So all I'm going to do is, if we start here on one front side, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my light bulb markers at every point where there's a change. So the start of the V-neck shaping, the shoulder, V-neck, and then I will divide those up again. I'll probably do it halfway up the front, halfway up the V-neck, and I'll do it on both sides so they mirror each other, and then I will start picking up at the rate that I think looks nice on the needle. I don't have a certain way of doing it, and of course at the moment I've got, although I think these rows look fairly even, I've got 8 rows with the BFL. I'm looking at this on the screen, so if it looks like I'm cross-eyed, I'm sorry. And then there's only 6 rows of the mohair, so I can't say I'm going to pick up evenly at a certain set rate as I go up, for because they're different amount of rows on each stripe. So I will, once I get into a rhythm, I'll be fine, and once I've got them on the needles. But the trouble is, you never know how successful you are until you cast off, because you can't tell exactly what the tension is. And of course I'm going to go up the front, round the back, and down the other front. So there's quite a few stitches on the needles at the end of that, but that's how I'll do it. And I find that by dividing the runs up between the change of where I am in the cardigan, if I'm at the neck or the shoulder or whatever, that helps me to get the same stitch count on the other side. And as soon as I've done that, I can start knitting the band and find out how many button mum wants on there, although she's very, very rarely would she actually do a button up. I'm losing my words. I'm going to stop now, go and sort myself out, get the other things I want to show you, like me things I might have bought. And I will come back and have a chat to you in a minute. So, see you in a sec. Hello. Right. Seems like I've been away for ages. It won't to you, but it does to me, because I've been going backwards and forwards between here and my table and stuff. I'm in a right mess at the moment. Okay, so let's talk about things that have come my way, what I've been buying. And the first thing to show you is my Nature Club from Emily at Rhapsody Yarns. And this is lovely. Now it's coming out very turquoise, and it is turquoise, but not quite as bright. it's more green than blue like it's showing on the screen, and it's got little pops of colour in as well. And this is called Coastal Waters. Now this on the merino would look slightly different obviously, but yeah, I really like that one. That's very nice. And as always, Emily, because it's a club, there's always a couple of extra things in there. And this month there was a frog retractable thing. I love retractable tapes. That's nice, very useful. And a little burlap sack of, well, you can't, I don't know why I'm going to show you this because it got bath salts in a lovely like sea ozone type. I do like that type of smell. However, I can't use these because I don't have a bath. You dirty mare. I've got a wet room with a rolling shower chair, so this may well find itself, if somebody wants these, the next prize, if they've got a bath and they like the smell of ozone, because it's quite light, it's not a strong smell, then that may come their way. So I'm going to keep it in that little thing and see. I don't think you should be rubbing bath salts onto your skin somehow. I mean, a shower gel with that smell would be very nice. But yeah, so that's nice. So that's this month's. Won't be renewing it. Well, she may not do the Nature Club next year anyway, but she tends to do different ones. And then I did the dangerous thing of looking at the Yorkshire Yarn Fest online. And I don't know why I do it, because I get so tempted, and then I start buying things, and then they come, and then I panic. I've got so much yarn. And I'm going to make a note to talk to you about yarn excesses. Mine, not yours. Whatever you do is up to you. But I went on to Telling Yarns, and I fell in love with her colours. She's got some beautiful earth tones, which I really like. And I need to get, I'm looking at here because I need to get the name of the yarn club that I've got. Now, I signed up to the Hogwarts series yarn club, and what you do, you sign up and you get you pay for 6 months. You get 6 months of yarn, and you know what colours you're getting. And then at the end of the 6 months, you've got 600 grams to do whatever you like with, and they all sort of fade into one another, and they're beautiful. And because you know me, because I thought like that I'd make a super jumper, but I don't want merino, and she didn't offer a BFL. I opted for her British non-superwash, and that is far redder than it is in real life. That looks like a russet, doesn't it? And it isn't. It's more of a dull greeny brown. That is a little slightly nearer. Not a very good colour. This camera's obviously making everything a little bit more red than it is. That is almost green there to my eyes anyway. So, what, I can't remember the lady's name. She does say on the when you sign up that if you choose the British wool, then it is far more subtle than the merino, because you know how well merino takes dye. That's definitely green there. You see, it doesn't look like that on the screen to me. Anyway, so it's nice and soft. It's not what they call buttery soft, although personally I don't know whether that's a good way to describe, because I've never really stuck my fingers in a pack of butter and thought, oh, that's soft. Have you? Is it funny the things that occur to you when you're talking? Anyway, and this one's called Arthur. So they just get sent to me now, get billed and sent to me. No extras, but if you do get one of her clubs, you get free P&P on all additional purchases at her website, and while you're receiving your 6 months of Hogwarts, and then if she's got another club as well, and you can buy the other one at a 10% discount. So I think that's not bad value at all, really, if you like her colourways and you're looking to add to your stash, which I'm not particularly going to do. And also, it is quite an expensive way to buy yarn when you consider that Emily's is £22 and this is, you know, 25. I'm not hiding anything, but I do like the colours, and yeah, it's going to make a fantastic jumper when it's finished. Nobody's forcing me to buy it. I do notice a difference in price between dyers, and it's just interesting, isn't it? I'm not criticising. I'm just making, you know, a note that things are different, and it's up to me as a customer to pay what I'm willing to pay, and I was willing to pay for the Hogwarts Yarn Club. So that's Telling Yarns, and they've got a website, and of course I'll put the link down there. So the other bits and pieces I bought was I bought 2 pairs of bamboo tips when I bought the Stylecraft Chunky from Lovecrafts. I don't know what size are they, 325s, and these are 375s, and I'm just going to try them because and they're 5-inch, so they can go in the other side of my beautiful needle case as well. I thought that was a good ploy. So instead of altering the case, why don't I just buy more tips? I need some fat tips as well for my hires, because when I started looking for tips to knit the chunky cardigan with, what I found was the only ones I've got in bigger sizes are actually my Knit Pro Symphonies, the wooden ones, and they're fine, but it proves to me that I can't sell that yet, because I was thinking, should I get rid of them, because I rarely use them. But now I found out that unless I add to my metal tips, then I really need to keep my Symphonies for now. So those are hires, and then I Ange from Yarn and Yarns, and if you don't watch her, why not? Because I do love Ange. Ange put a post on to say she'd had the latest opal yarns in, which I showed you earlier, and I'll just show you again. I'm just making a bit of an adjustment here in what I can reach and what I can't reach. This, see, I've dropped something. A crocheting hook very kindly attached itself to this yarn and then fell off. So this colourway here, this is one of the later opal ones, and it is the colour is opal 25 years yarn, and it says on the back yeah, anyway, I can't remember what it, I think this is 11044. I think that's the shade number. So there you go. So I bought that off Ange, and then obviously you can't just buy one. I bought this one as well, which is again another 25 year celebration, and again I was looking for something that would be unisex. I mean, every colour is unisex if you want to wear anything, and this is 43, so shade 11043. So yeah, nice. I mean, I think it was Angie who said she prefers her commercial yarn socks rather than the hand-dyed ones, merino ones, for wear, you know. And if I'm putting words into your mouth, Ange, I'm sorry, but I do too. The ones that my mum, I don't know, they just seem to wear so well. Bear in mind I don't walk, so, you know, I am talking out of the proverbial. Yeah, I'm going to make those, and I'm going to knit those up for West Midlands Ambulance, because I know I really should do some socks, but also, as I was driving past my mum's the other day, she lives right by the ambulance station, and I noticed that actually, although we're in Worcestershire, we're still part of the West Midlands Ambulance Service, and they took Dad to hospital. So, you know, it's the least I can do. It's if you ever need an excuse. It's a bit of a dramatic excuse, but it's, you know, no excuses. And then, of course, yarn can't travel alone, and I bought some Evermore tins. This one's got 3 birdies on it, and some felt, you know, pictures of felt. Okay. And then inside, little pocket tins. Isn't that cute? And there's a little picture on the back as well. And these slide open. Took me about 10 seconds to realise they slide open. And I'll just show you the other one. I'll put them away in a minute. And this one is one of the Woolly Jumper series. And it's the penguins. And then you've got penguins on the back as well. What does it say on the back of that? It says, penguins love to stare at things in tins. Oh no, sorry, stare. Penguins love to store things in tins. Well, so do I. That was my nickname at school, given to me quite cruelly by a bully. And then it stuck. A pocket tin to store little treasures. What it says on the back of there. I just love tins. I absolutely love tins. So yes, I bought those off Ange as well. And then I'm waiting on this month's minis, ombre minis. And I started making hexagons, solid hexagons out of those, crochet. And then I saw, those are from Vicky Brown Designs, and then I saw the ombre crocheted, it was like a granny ripple, I think, off the top of my head, that she's making herself out of her own, you know, club sets. And I really like that as well. I undid the hexes because I thought, I'm not in control of this. I want to get them all, and then I can decide what to do, because I got this vision of, you know, putting the shades through and using half a mini to start one hexie and ending it with another, you know, colour. And I thought, I'm overthinking this. It's a blanket, you know. It's not a work of art. It might end up being a work of art. And then I thought about the Battenberg blanket as well, which I also really like. But then I saw a photograph of something very similar to a Battenberg. Not the Battenberg, but something that the lady from Pedro's Plaques is doing on Instagram. And she got little granny squares, and then they're surrounded by like a silvery grey border, and yeah, so you only had little bits of colour in, and then you had a lot more surround of the grey, pale grey, and or it could have been an oatmeal. I say that for Julia's benefit, and that looked really nice as well. I really like the way the little bit of colour popped out of there. But when you've got as many minis and as many magic balls that I've started, and I'm still getting more incoming, then I have got too much choice. So I do want to talk about my excessive nature when it comes to buying yarn. Maybe next time or the time after. And I have also got some more incoming, and I'll tell you about that briefly, because I like talking about things. And you want to listen to me about my bedding, don't you? My new bedding. Tom likes flannelette, push cotton, Winciette, I think that's the brand name. And when we were kids, I had Winciette pyjamas, but then houses were generally, they weren't built with heating like they are today when I was young. Get the violin out. So Winciette pyjamas were very common. Marks and Spencer don't bother selling them anymore, which is a bit annoying. It seems to be having a bit of a revival, however. And I've already got 2 lots of bedding that I just alternate that are bush cotton. But a few years ago, I bought some Laura Ashley curtains, and they are in the Gosford Cranberry, I think. Now, unbeknown to me, I bought them because I like them because they've got hydrangeas on them, and that's one of my favourite flowers. I bought it not knowing that it was about to be discontinued. So I have looked at the coordinating bedding and bedding, and by that I mean it's got the cranberry in it that Laura Ashley used. But when I felt the fabric of the brushed cotton, I wasn't very impressed with it. And of course, Laura Ashley bedding is not cheap. I don't mind paying for quality, but there's a limit to what I will pay. So I've been looking around for something that's like the right red. I bought some coordinating cranberry upholstery fabric, and we've done a big drum lampshade in our bedroom as well. Tom and I made that a couple of years ago. And I don't want everything matchy-matchy, but it'd be nice just to have a coordinated bedroom. I had a nice one in the flat. So, anyway, I'm making this story far longer, as usual, than it should be. I was looking online at the Christie's website. You know, they sell towels in Britain. And they've got a good reputation for towels, also, I think, anyway. I went to, and they're a well-known brand, and they've been around for quite a few years, and they do bedding. And I had a look, and they got brushed cotton, and it looked like the right tone of red. It was cream with a red check. Tom says it's tartan, but it's like a tartan type check. And I looked at it, and I wanted a Super King because we've got the biggest quilt we can buy easily on the bed. It was £140 for the quilt cover and 2 pillowcases, and I didn't want to pay that. And also, I noticed they regularly do sales, discounts, always selling their towels off for 50% off. So I thought, I'm going to play the waiting game, keep my eye on the website. And I wrote to them, and I said on their online chat thing, and I said, can I have a swatch of the fabric? Because I'm going to spend a lot of money. Then I want to feel the fabric after being a bit disappointed about the Laura Ashley stuff. And we'll pass it on to them. Never heard anything. And then I was checking about every couple of weeks to make sure I wasn't missing a discount, although I'd signed up for their newsletter. And I went, and all the bush cotton bedding had disappeared. I did it in about 4 colours. I was like, oh, yeah, botheration, I said, or something similar. What am I going to do now? You know, I've been looking for about 2 or 3 years for bedding that goes with the curtains. So I wrote to them, I sent them an email, I said, what have you done with your bedding? Have you put it on eBay? Because that's how I got my laptop. I chose the laptop I wanted. Currys didn't have it on their website. I went and searched for the same thing, and it was on their shop on eBay, even though it wasn't on the Currys website, for the same price. So you've got to be careful sometimes about where you buy from. And I got a letter back saying, an email back quite promptly saying, thank you, this is the bedding we've got at the moment. So I also said to them cheekily, who have you given it to? Because they do. They give it to discount stores and all sorts of things. So the Sherlock Holmes in me went and had a look, and I found the bedding I wanted. They had one in Super King in the right colour, and it was £70. So immediately it was 50% off, and I was quite happy to pay that. And then it said, if you put some for summer, 15, you get another 15% off. So I ended up paying £59.50, delivered the next day for my £140 bedding. And I'm really pleased. Thought you'd be interested. I should have a timestamp here saying, if you don't want to listen to the story of the bedding, but I won't. But the reason why I'm telling you about the bedding is because we have got a Ripple blanket that I crocheted some time ago in yellows and browns on our bed, on top of the bed, for Bertie to sleep on, because he sleeps with us. And now it looks horrible, because it's been washed. It gets washed at least once a week, usually twice a week. Excuse me. Gets washed every few days, and it's losing its colour, really. So Tom said, oh, that doesn't go. I mean, for a man to say that, it must look awful. And I've been meaning to get round to making a cover for the bed. So I just sat there one night in front of the telly. I can't find my Shepsy's colour cards. I don't know where I've put them, shade cards that I'd ordered specifically for that project when I was going to eventually do it. Couldn't find them, so I sat on the internet, went on Wool Warehouse, and I've ordered a few balls of I can't remember what it's called, but I'll show it you when it comes. And now I've got to decide on a pattern, and I'm hoping the colours will coordinate with my bedding and my curtains. I tell you what, and that has got something to do with crafting, because I will eventually crochet, I think, the bedding, because I think it'll be quicker. Crochet the cover. It only needs to sit on top of the bed. It's not a full size cover that goes to the floor. It's just something for Bert to lie on, and for us to wrap him in, you know, when he gets into bed in the winter when it's a bit colder. Okay, right, I'm going to stop here, come back to you in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, and then we'll talk a little bit about what I've been doing and my dad. So if you don't want to listen to that part for whatever reason, there's obviously no pressure to. You're in charge of your buttons. We'll see you next time, hopefully. Thanks for watching. Otherwise, stay there. I'll be back in a sec. I've got a remote. Now I've got this selfie stick. It's got a remote, but I've had to charge it. Otherwise I could be just going bit. Anyway, yes, I was, our world sort of got a bit shattered, to say the least. I won't keep you long. I just want to talk a little bit about it, because so many of you have been so kind, sending me, love, best wishes, condolences. You're people I talk to on the internet, and you don't need to do that, and it's lovely to know. And I'm sure a lot of you have been in a similar position and have lost loved ones. I've lost a few too many loved ones in the recent past, but that's how it goes sometimes, isn't it? My dad was an avid cyclist. He was 80 in January, and he went out on his bike twice a week for a big long ride. And if he had to pop into the nearest town, then he would go on his bike. Mum and Dad live about 1.5 miles from the town centre, and he would go on his bike to pay the rates, as he still called them, for instance. And even though he only had to do 3 miles, he'd do about 10. And he's got a number of bikes, like 4 seasons, for all eventualities. And it's nice because he was addicted to it. He really was. And I'm quite proud to say that we never tried to stop him from riding. However, we have been asking him to either take a smartphone with him or to take a tracker or something, so that we could find him if anything happened to him, because when you're 80, as he said to me himself earlier in the year, you're in the red zone now because you're fragile. It doesn't take anything to make you injured or worse. What I actually said to him on his 80th birthday was, you've got a choice now, Dad. You either take a smartphone or a tracker, or get your microchipped like a cat or a dog. See? Now, you've got to remember, when I talk about my dad, that we're a very teasing, humorous family. There's a lot of, even now in our grief, we're saying, the silly things he used to do, because we want to include them in the service. The way he used to tease us, and we'd tease him, and it's a very, I feel, very healthy way to be, Anyway, he had gone out on his bike on the Thursday. He'd come back. My mum had made him a drink, and then he dropped the tea on the floor. My mum went in to see what had happened, and she noticed that he was dribbling on one side of his face, dropped. Dad had a stroke about 8 years ago, and he fully recovered from that. It affected his swallowing, so he had a feeding tube in for a while. But he fully recovered, back on his bike, and he got no tremors or anything. So Mum rang 999, knowing, recognising the signs. They were asking her lots of questions. She said, look, I want some help. I recognise the signs. He's had it before. I want somebody here now. And they came within 5 minutes. And it does help that they live right next to the, very close to the ambulance station. But they said they were diverted from another call. They took him to Worcester Hospital, which is our local stroke hospital. And they found a clot in his neck, which they gave him the clot busting drug for, and unfortunately that gave him a massive bleed on the brain, and we had to let him go. And I'm keeping it very short because I don't mind telling you this, because you may experience or have experienced something very similar. And all this happened in about the space of about 8 hours. So it was very fast, very quick. There's no way Dad would wanted to be incapacitated in any way. He found it frustrating enough when he had his first stroke. I don't think he would have coped if he'd been any more disabled by a stroke than that happened last time, because he lived to go on his bike. He liked talking to us family. He was a quiet man, but we had a very good relationship with him, all of us. So that's helped us deal with it, because he went very quickly. He wasn't in any pain, but it's a shock to us. We've got to deal with that, and we're pulling together by being together and helping Mum as much as we can. My mum's like a headless chicken. She's keeping herself busy. But who knows? I mean, we all deal with grief in a different way. There's nothing to say that she's got to stop and think and start, mulling it over, because in a way that won't do any of us any good. We've got to carry on. So we all have our moments, but overall, it might, I hope I don't come over as being uncaring, because it's all I've thought about for about the last 9 days. But I think we've got to be grateful. If you're going to choose the way you go, then sometimes you think, well, that was for the best, if you had to make the choice. It's taken a long time to get round to organising the funeral. Mum's going to talk to the registrar tomorrow, because they only do telephone appointments now. And once that's done, I can start booking everything up. And I'm finding it a bit frustrating. And I've got some questions to ask them. But I'm trying to do most of the paperwork. I was an administrator at the end of the day. And then I am the eldest. I've got a sister and then 2 brothers. My sister lives near Oxford. My brother lives near to my mum, and my other brother lives in Hastings, but he did come up for 24 hours. So we all have been together. And Mum hasn't had a night on her own yet. This may be the first night she spends on her own, being Sunday. So she's had a lot of physical support, which I can't do. I can go and see her, but the bit I can do is doing all the arranging. And I've found that to be quite therapeutic, because it's allowed me to be in charge and things, and to know what's going on. And the thing I didn't want to be is to be kept out of stuff, Not that anybody would have shut me out, I don't mean it like that, but it's my bit, my contribution. So I'll see if I can put a nice photograph of Dad at the end. He did the Land's End to John O'Groats, I think in 2003, when he was 72. So maybe I'll put a picture of him at the end with, a fitting tribute. He's cycling. But, and we miss him, because he was a very steady character. He was, very non-judgmental, very fair. And my mum and Dad, I think, they've given us more support as adults, although they were very good parents. They're always there for us. And although we're not close in the fact that we don't see each other all the time, although we see our parents as much as we can, I don't see my brothers and sisters as often as, I should, could, would, It doesn't matter, because we're there for each other when it does. So it's a bit weird. I'm coping. Tom's been good support to me. I had to phone I lost my friend Debbie. I told you about Debbie. I had to phone her mum this morning to tell her, because she's known my mum and dad for 50 years, since I went to Exhall Grange, because Debbie and I used to go to each other's houses on a holiday, and our parents got to know each other So she was quite upset. But I said I'd phone her again in the week and have a chat to her because she likes her knitting and things. We've got a lot of common ground. So yeah, so it's hard. Some of it's easier than I thought it might be, you know, 'cause you never know, do you? As and when it's going to happen. And some of it's hard. So anyway, before I get any more tangled up in emotion and things, I will say goodbye to you, and I will be back in touch with you probably after, it may be about a fortnight, it might be before then, depending on what I'm doing, because I do like talking to you. You're very supported. You're a lovely band of people, and I will see you very soon. I'm going to stop this, and there'll be 101 things I should have talked about instead of talking about my bedding. Right. But you know what you sign up to when you talk, when I, get on in front of the camera, so don't say you've not been warned. I will love you and leave you, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye. Ta-ra a bit.